big and red. I love pressing a big red button. All right,
Yeah.
we're live. Welcome, you guys, to another episode of Spilling Ink, the talk show that takes you behind the book to meet the authors and professionals in the publishing industry. I am Katie Solitis, your host. Jason Lavelle, unfortunately, isn't here today, but don't feel sorry for him. He's actually at Comic-Con this week. He's going to be posting up some interviews later, so definitely check back with our channel, and you'll be able to see him at Comic-Con and who all he's had a chance to interview. Word is there might be some Doctor Who stuff. We'll see. But in lieu of having Jason, we have our favorite other co-host, Jane. How are we doing today, Jane?
We're doing pretty good. It's cold in Connecticut. And I'm sure it's cold in Chicago where Jason is.
You know what? Bring it. I'm so over. Bring the cold.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, especially at the end of summer. I'm done with heat. I'm welcoming sweater weather and hot tea and hot cocoa season. Of course, you guys up in Canada know all about cold. I'm going to pick Jim to go first. You guys might remember Jim. He's been on our show before. How we doing, Jim?
Good. I'm good. And I'm not looking forward to the cold. We've already had about 1.5 feet of snow for second day of October. So I'm done with winter. And then what is it, October 13th?
Oh, you got a long way to go.
Yes, you do.
We're in it now.
That's not cool. Okay, well, how have you been? Have you got anything new for us this time?
I do. I put out a new release just a couple weeks ago. It's kind of an old style pulp thing meets Chinese mythology. It's called Kiss of the Cockroach Queen. Okay, we're going to dive into that a little bit later. It sounds interesting. We've got another author to introduce you to. Anita, or do you go by A.F. Stewart?
Well, I write under A.F. Stewart, but I go by Anita, so.
Okay.
And most people call me Anita these days. I mean, I answer to either one. I'm easy like that. Anyway, yeah. And I'm not looking forward to winter either over here in Nova Scotia. We luckily have not had snow yet. We've had a lot of rain though, because we got the tail end of the Hurricane Michael. But anyway, so yeah, and I write horror and dark fantasy and all sorts of weird monstery things.
Okay, that's good. And we're at the perfect season for that horror, scary, dark, creepy stuff. Halloween. Who here is a fan of Halloween?
Me.
Best time.
Yep.
Best holiday of the year, right?
Yes.
Now, there's a debate going on right now all across Facebook about whether or not kids should have an age limit for trick-or-treating. You guys got to weigh in on this. For me personally, having a teenager as well as little ones, hold on to that. Trick-or-treat as long as possible and enjoy that little bit of childhood that you have left. So I have no problem with seeing teenagers trick-or-treating. I
don't either. I mean, we have a neighborhood and the teenagers come out a little later than the little kids. And it's really fun to see them come to the door, and I'd rather have them going around, in the neighborhood asking for candy than being off at a party, doing things they shouldn't be doing.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
At least till I was 16. I half remember that about that time.
I think part of the fun too is getting dressed up, and even as adults, come on now, people love cosplay. There's a fun element to Halloween of being allowed to, embody something else and be something fun and get some free candy out of it. Why not?
Right.
I love dressing up in costumes for Halloween mostly. Occasionally I've done it on videos too, and I've done readings and things.
Oh, see, now that's cool. Do you take on like one of your characters' personas when you do that?
Yeah, well, kind of like with the seafaring fantasy I got. I put on my tricorn hat.
Okay.
And
cool.
And I think I did it was a Christmas poem thing. It was the night before Christmas. I think I had my my little top hat.
Nice.
Sort of, Victorian Christmas.
Getting a little bit of what's his name?
Scrooge.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's right there. That took my tongue. That's perfect. And there's nothing wrong with that. The little bit of fun that you have being something else. I think there shouldn't be an age limit on that. So every time I see that flash up on my screen in Facebook, I'm like, why? Why would you not want kids to go out and, still hold on to that and have fun?
Yeah.
I agree.
They're older kids. They're still kids.
Hell, I'm 30-ish, and I'm
Oh, say it ain't so.
I'm 50-ish and I still like it.
Yeah, me too.
In fact, my youngest daughter's birthday is so close to Halloween that she does a spooky, scary Halloween party every year. So we have an excuse to get everybody dressed up and have a big old Halloween bash.
That's fun.
I think this year I'm Mother of Dragons, so that should be fun.
Oh, very nice.
Blonde wig, the dragon, yeah, whole 9 yards. It'll be fun. All right, so we should probably jump into a little bit of our story topics today. I know both of you guys have some new stuff to tell us about, so I'm going to pick on Anita first. Tell us about your latest release.
Well, that would be this one with the nice skull on the cover for Halloween.
Ooh, I like that.
That's the second book in my Saga of the Outer Islands series. There's the first one with the sea monster, if you can see that.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah. So that's the book series is about basically ghosts, gods, and sea monsters. It pretty much sums it up. I've got this. Was inspired by Greek mythology, the Charon, the Greek ferryman of the dead, and all the ghost tales of ghost ships like the Flying Dutchman, and we've got a lot of ghost stories about ghost ships around Nova Scotia too. So that's kind of what the basis was about this. It's about this captain who has cruised this. He's a god. He cruised a fair ship of ghosts and live people, and they fight sea monsters and his crazy sister and other crazy family members as the series goes on.
That's neat.
Sounds like a lot of fun to read.
Yeah.
Now, when did you say this last one came out?
It came out on September 13th.
Okay, so we're about a month in.
Yeah.
How has the release been, and what have you done as far as the promotion for your release?
Well, the whole launch has been actually kind of a walking disaster. I mean, it's gone okay, but I've been kind of putting out fires as we go each step of the way, because I had to reschedule the launch from August because of a problem with the editor. Then I had to, and then just as I was doing the paperback, the Create Space thing happened.
Oh, yes.
So I wasn't sure when the paperback was going to come out, but luckily I got it out just the day before the September 13th launch.
That's good.
And I'm trying to get the blog tour together at the moment, and that's going so, but we'll see how that goes.
Are you managing the whole launch yourself, or are you?
No, I farmed out the blog tour because I didn't have time with my other one, which is the October Frights blog hop that I organized every year. Anyway, but everything else, yeah, I pretty much do myself, except for the editing, of course. I have an editor for that, but I do the covers and I do everything else myself.
The covers look really good, and that's hard to do.
Yeah, that's lot of years of practice and a slight artistic ability on my part.
More than slightly. I mean, that's really hard to do. Even people who use stock imagery, they still don't always have a grasp on like topography and what should go where.
Yeah, well, I paint pictures like landscapes, oils and watercolors. So I know composition. So that was helpful in doing the putting the book covers together. The hard part was actually figuring out how to use the software. Which was fun. Thank goodness for YouTube, though. All those lovely YouTube tutorials are very, very helpful.
YouTube is a lifesaver. It really is.
Jim, you were asking a question?
Yeah, what software did you use, Anita?
GIMP.
Oh, okay, yeah, steep learning curve there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, is GIMP easier or harder than Photoshop? Because I heard they're very similar programs.
I don't know. I've never actually used Photoshop. But I think they'd probably be about the same because I mean they're very similar, like you said. Like they use layers and things and whatnot. Anyway, I use GIMP because, well, basically it's free.
Right.
Absolutely.
I have that on my PC too for whenever I try to attempt to do ad images.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I went over to Adobe Spark to do all my graphics
okay.
because when I upgraded my Adobe Acrobat to Pro, so I could fix the drafted digital PDFs for the print versions because they're nice, but they don't have a table of contents. So I upgraded, and when that I got a free entrance into Adobe Spark, and I love that site. I do. It's just you just click whatever size you want. They have pre-programmed things like for Instagram, Twitter, blogs, whatever. They you can connect to the free photo stock places like Pixabay and Unsplash, and search for pictures. Take the picture, you go in. They have graphics. You can put little banners on it. It's great.
That sounds pretty good. I'm gonna have to look into that myself. Now, have either of you heard of Cover Vault? Jane, I think you know about Cover Vault. No? Now that surprises me. Where you can make all of your 3D covers for your books.
Yeah, see.
Okay, I figured you knew already. Okay, so like she was saying with the resizing for the different Facebook, Instagram, whatnot, Cover Vault has a lot of free templates that you can use with, I think you have to have Photoshop, but I'm not sure if GIMP will do it too. But they have free templates, and they also have a pay for like master template list of different things that you can use to make covers. Like, I don't know if you can see this back here.
Yep.
The 3 books that I did, those were done via Cover Vault's free templates.
Okay.
And you can, like box sets, you can do flats, you can do standing books, you can do ebooks. They even have the different e-readers and stuff that are all in templates. Definitely worth checking out, especially if you're making your own promotional stuff. Yeah,
I haven't done it in a while, but yes, I do my own stuff because I have GIMP.
And I think most of us, we do that part ourselves. I mean, it's hard enough getting the books, edited. We have to pay for that. If we can't do our own cover art, then we have to pay for cover art. But beyond that, all the promotional stuff, it's got to continue to be fresh. It's got to be geared towards what market you're going after. So a lot of that has to be hand done by the author.
Right.
All right, well, let's turn it over to Jim because he hasn't had a chance to talk yet. Tell us about your latest. You teased us a little bit already on this.
My latest is, can we see it there? Some light. Kiss the Cockroach Queen. It's kind of an old style pulp thing. Lots of Chinese mythology in there, and it was a blast to write. Honestly, it was one of those that while I was writing it, I didn't even know if I was ever going to publish it because I was just having fun. I wanted to play around with that genre and I love doing it so much that I've already finished the second one. It's out with beta readers, and I've just cracked the third one last month. So.
All right. Now, you know what they say when you're writing a book, if you really enjoy it, then you've got something because you are supposed to write it for yourself first.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing feeling when you're writing it and you're like, yes, this is perfect. I love this. And the words just go. I love that.
Oh, yeah. It was fast. I was laughing out loud at parts, not to toot my own horn or anything, but I was laughing out loud at parts as I was writing it, which is always a good sign for me.
Now,
it's not particularly scary. It's more on the comedy, spooky side, but it was a great time.
Laughing at yourself, tell us about the video you posted recently where you did your own interview.
So a little while ago, a couple of years ago, I wrote a nonfiction book called How to Tell a Really Good Story About Absolutely Anything in 40 steps. And if you're ever thinking of using a really long title like that because you think it's cute, it's not. It's so try tweeting that 3 times a day. Anyway, I digress. So, and it's all about using the power of story to get your message across for various purposes. So I was going to do a webcast, a little YouTube show about storytelling, and I can never really figure out who my first guest was going to be, because I know a lot of writers, I know a lot of people who use story in the business world, and I thought, you know what? I wonder if I could, if I have the technology to interview myself and have this thing where this kind of split screen idea where I'm interviewing myself. So it's me playing interviewer and then me playing author. And I had so much fun doing that. It's up there on my Facebook author page. About 2.5 minutes. And turns out I'm really a jerk. I tried to interview myself and it ended up like I needed to walk off. It was to myself.
It's a great concept though, because a lot of times it's video that gets people's interest, and so if you've got those quick snippet videos, those under 2 minutes that can be shared, people really like them. But then you've got the added bonus of the comedy angle there that I think really kind of plays well with just about anybody who wants to watch that.
I don't think you can go wrong with making people smile, like whatever genre you're writing, if you make people smile and feel good, then they're going to look farther in.
And I like how you relate that to your story, where you said it's kind of on the funnier side of horror, which horror, of course, as soon as you hear the word, you instantly conjure up things that are going to scare you, things that are going to just send your blood to ice, and you're afraid. But you add a little comedy to that, and it's kind of like, well, how did you do that?
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, what I set out to do with this book and with this series is, and I know you'll relate to this, I'm a big Doctor Who fan, have been since I was a kid, right? When I was watching them on PBS every afternoon after school. And I wanted a character that could have that kind of gravitas, but also lightness. So in my own way, that's what I attempted to do with this. So it's this hard-boiled kind of detective guy, but he deals with all the mythological cases, right? And even though and rarely gets paid for his trouble. So he's living. It's all set in Hong Kong, my favorite city in the world. So he's living in this grungy Kowloon apartment. He's got a dripping shower and always manages to lose whatever money he gets on the cases, and yet is the only person in the known world that can deal with this kind of thing.
I like that. I like that. And I can see the kind of Whovian angle to it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wanted to write kind of a doctorish character, and this was my stab at it.
Well, and that's one of the things when people ask me about Doctor Who, why do you like it? I always tell them it's sci-fi that doesn't take itself too seriously. It has fun with what it is. And
Absolutely.
I think if you do that, no matter what your genre, it'll play out, and people will kind of be drawn to those characters because they aren't super serious. Yes, there's drama, but it's not weighing you down. And you can kind of have fun with it. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like having fun, and I say that flippantly, but that was a big soul-searching moment for me a few years ago. Wow, I like comedy. I don't need to write everything serious. I don't need to take myself really seriously. I really like making people laugh, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's true. People need to laugh these days, I think, as well. So you're kind of helping it out there. Now, speaking as a Doctor Who fan, have you seen the latest?
No, and I'm actually quite a bit behind after having a couple young children in a row, because that's how they come out, as pretty young. So no, I haven't even done Last Christmases with the whole time thing, First Doctor. I'm not there yet. I think I'm just going to skip because I really want to see how she does the role. Have you? Did you see it?
I did see the first episode, and I like how they play her, and I think that the the actress that's playing her is trying to pull some inspiration from some of the more recent Doctors, and you can see some of that come out. It's definitely her version of the Doctor, but you can see some of those callbacks to previous Doctors that make you really appreciate the character.
Interesting. Okay. I'm excited to look at it. So
I think it'll be fun. And they're not going heavy-handed with the whole, oh, it's a woman. You know, they did make one small comment about that and brushed it off just as quickly and went right into the story like they should have.
Yeah, well, how else could you do that? Otherwise, that's all it's about, and that's not the point of having a woman in the role.
Exactly. And I liked, I know you didn't see last season either, but I liked that they started teasing things out with the Master embodied with a woman.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my God, I absolutely loved her. She was brilliant in that role, and they couldn't have picked a better actress for it. She just nailed it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's fun to watch the show grow, and it still retains that whole ridiculous, the villains, they're always completely ridiculous, and that's where you can laugh because yes, oh, it's the world-ending machinations, but oh, look at how silly he looks, you know. There's always that little chuckle that's thrown in there. So yeah. Sorry, we just completely derailed. I'm playing Jason today, by the way, Jane, just so you know.
That's okay.
It's usually his job, so you have to rein us in.
Me? Why?
It's very nice that you can talk about Doctor Who all day. I love the show.
I was kind of baiting with the whole thing to get you into a conversation, so I'll take ability for that one.
And I'm probably the only one on this call that has never seen it. So
I wore my Doctor Who jacket because it was starting to get cold here. I wore my Doctor Who jacket to take my littlest to her preschool class, and there was a dad sitting there, and he looked over, he's like, "What's a police call box?" I was like, "Oh, have you seen Doctor Who?" And he kind of gave me the confused look, and I was like, it's sci-fi. It's fun and campy British sci-fi. And he's like, "Really? Tell me more."
That's the way I get with Supernatural. You know that.
Oh yeah. Well, you can talk about Supernatural too. Then that's my favorite show. That one.
Yep, you and me both. Yes, I watch that religiously.
I still haven't gotten into it.
I told Katie to watch the Scooby-Doo episode.
Now, how about, okay, for scary TV that's not scary, how about Penny Dreadful?
Oh, I love Penny Dreadful. That was very gothic, Victorian scary. I loved that.
I would have said that was too scary. I watched the first one and I can't do it. It's too scary. It was late at night and couldn't do it.
Really?
Oh, wow.
I'll have to look that one up.
I didn't find it scary.
See, I'm a horror freak. I love horror.
Yeah, I guess the Victorian Gothic scary doesn't bother me because I love that. Another good movie. Oh, it's the one with Tom Hiddleston. What's it called? Crimson Peak.
Okay.
That was great. That was really good Gothic horror. That one was.
Have to look at that.
See, I can't watch modern horror, but I could do Victorian, and that didn't feel like horror to me. It just felt like almost a period piece with my favorite old-timey monsters in it.
Maybe I'll give it another chance. It might have been a frame of mind kind of thing. But I was scared when I watched that. But like I said, I'm alive.
It didn't seem that way to me. Even when they introduced, I think it was like the second episode, they introduced Frankenstein's monster. And there was those moments where you felt like, oh, this is going to get scary and expect the jump scare or whatever. And it was not. But that brings up a good question, because if we like certain levels of horror, where do you draw the line?
Probably the slasher stuff with me. I can't really take that. That just goes too far for me. But I don't mind things like the Mummy movies, like the Brendan Fraser one, even the new one, which had real problems. But that sort of thing, I don't mind it, because it's kind of more, I guess, more if you've got more horror that's mood and atmosphere than blood and guts, then I don't mind it so much.
See, I find the psychological stuff a lot scarier. I stopped watching horror, and when did the others come out? Like
Oh, I love that one.
2001? Oh, I couldn't do it after that. I thought about that movie for days. That's when I gave up on horror. And everyone laughs at me for saying that. That one wasn't even that bad. I couldn't even watch the TV ad for that one that they based on the Japanese one around the same time, The Grudge. Just seeing that cat kid just creeped
Oh
me
yeah,
out.
I couldn't take that one. I don't mind the spooky ghost stories, but if they go like the really creepy, scary, jump at you ghost stories, no, I don't go with those.
I don't see much because I only have Wednesday nights to feed that.
I think for me, it's when the horror bridges that gap between complete fantasy and possibility. That's when I get scared. So like the psychological stuff or the slasher type movies, those scare me because people are scary, but monsters, except for zombies, monsters don't scare me because in my mind, I know this is fantasy.
And why not zombies then?
Zombies, I know it sounds stupid, but zombies seem like the most legitimate type of monster that could happen. Like vampires, I don't believe could be real. The Wolfman, ghosts actually do think could be real, but zombies, it's like that rabies on steroids thing. I could see a disease completely turning people into psychotic, blood.
Because zombies are the personification of a biological outbreak.
Yes.
So, yeah, it is a little more closer to home than, say, a vampire.
Yeah, so those scare me, but yeah, the old school monster movies, those I think are fun because in my mind it's fantasy. I know it's fantasy. I can make that separation.
So World War Z must have freaked you out.
Didn't watch it. Nope, didn't watch it.
It took me a minute to be able to say that.
Although I did watch Zombieland.
I liked Zombieland. That was filled with humor, though. That had humor.
There you go. The humor element made it worth watching.
Yes, it was hysterical.
Flashing the rules up on the screen.
Yep.
So, and that goes back to Jim, like you said, having that element of humor, that lightheartedness kind of makes it more acceptable, more interesting to watch or read, depending on which medium you're looking at.
Yeah. There's out of Chinese mythology, there's a kind of half zombie, half vampire thing called Zhangshi. And remember when I was living in China, I had a girlfriend who was describing these to me. It's like, they stick their arms out and they hop around and make a squeaking noise. And how is that scary? And then I thought, geez, that's really scary. Apparently it's like rigor mortis, so they can't really move properly, so they can only hop. And then I don't know where the squeaking noise comes from, but
I think I've seen that on Folklore Thursday. Someone posted about that monster.
Absolutely, yeah. Zhangshi it's a big thing in China specifically, but I believe throughout Asia, and because it moves in such an inhuman way, that's what makes it so scary. I was doing a panel on monsters at a writing conference this summer, and that's one of the things we talked about. Like having a monster move in this kind of inhuman, unnatural way is automatically very scary. There's something about the human brain that is kind of always on the lookout for that. If you see somebody moving unnaturally, already you're on guard, and the hairs stand up on the back of your neck. So yeah, at first I laughed, and then the more I thought about it, like, yeah, that's terrifying.
It makes sense. I mean, we'll look at those the movies where they have like creatures crawling out of wells and out of TVs and stuff, and they're moving in that sort of gymnast type way where their arms are moving in a way that not normal people can move. Yeah, that's instantly freaky.
Yeah.
It's the ones skittering across the ceiling that get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the scariest monster for each of you guys then? I feel like we need music right now.
The one that doesn't appear as a monster first. So, I mean, You could say like a vampire kind of thing. It's just there's been so much about it, but I would imagine if you saw the what in 1931 I think Dracula, that would be scary. This charming person who then has no human emotion at all except to destroy you.
Okay, so back to more of the psychological, the monster that's unseen. Okay. All right, Jane, what about you?
Me, it's a human thing. It's the psychopath or the sociopath that has no conscience. And I've actually had the, I guess, fortune as a writer, but unfortunate as a person to actually see somebody who had that psychopathic personality in a courtroom. In a courtroom, he was being tried for killing a woman, and yep, nothing. So when I write about serial killers, this person is the epitome of it. So, those were in my days when I was in the newsroom and sent off to sit and wait for wait for verdicts in the courtroom. So, yeah.
I believe it though. People are scary.
Yeah, I mean, he was given the death penalty, and I mean, after actually seeing him look at me, I was like, yep. Like somebody walking over your grave. So not really monsters, but a real true monster.
Hey, like I said, people are scary. They can be monsters.
Yep.
Oh, all right, Anita.
I probably go with the killer ghost thing. The ghost that's just sort of out to get you. I mean, because you really have no defense against that.
Salt.
Well, yeah, but that only works so long. If you watch Supernatural, you know that. The one good wind blowing the salt circle and you're doomed.
You just always carry salt packets with you, so you're prepared.
Salt iron.
Well, yeah, or a handy iron poker.
Yep.
Oh, ghosts are scary too. Again, I said that one could be real because there's always something that you catch out of the corner of your eye or that feeling as you're walking down a dark hallway. In my office, I was actually in an office. Now I'm in the living room. But when I was working in my office late at night, I would always feel like somebody was watching me from the doorway. And of course, you turn and nothing's there, but that feeling remains.
So that's why you're in the living room, right?
No, my daughter's in that room now.
Okay. Oh.
I gave up my office so that she could have.
Don't even have to deal with it. Excellent.
What's that?
What about you? Is that what scares you the most, Katie, or what?
Ghosts don't actually scare me as much as people do. Like you guys all said, they're the scary ones. The people can go crazy. You can see or they don't see the humanity in them. Mm-hmm. They're just completely blank, no emotion, don't care. Yeah, people scare me. Ghosts, they're freaky. I grew up in a house that was haunted to the point where my parents actually had a priest come in and bless the house because it was bothering them so much. Never bothered me, but bothered them. And I would always see things out of the corner of my eyes. It was freaky, but not like terrifying or something that would bother me enough to be scared about it.
Yeah, well, I grew up with the ghost stories. Like Nova Scotia, there's like ghost stories around every corner. And not all of them are nice. So that might be part of why I don't like ghosts. I mean, you got things with red eyes and demons popping up out of places and ships on fire in the harbor. I mean, and then they disappear. That sort of thing kind of gets into your head.
Yeah. In that monster panel at the conference this summer, one of my other panelists said, and this chilled me for days after. Do you ever walk into a room and see like that 7-foot tall purple monster with the fangs that eats memories? No. Sorry. Let me rephrase. Do you ever walk into a room and forget why you're there? Scared the crap out of me.
Oh. And that reminds me of the Doctor Who episode where they were marking themselves for every time that they saw the silence because their memories would be erased right afterwards.
Yeah.
Yep.
Neat. I'm like.
Yeah, you feels for a while.
This isn't oldie.
I'd say to my wife, "Oh, I saw the 7-foot purple monster with the fangs again."
What's interesting though is we're all scared of a lot of things, but we kind of, especially those of us who kind of enjoy thrillers and horrors, we force ourselves to be scared. Even though we know it's going to scare us, we go after it. Why do we do that?
The rush.
Is it
it produces an adrenaline rush? It's a high energy feeling, and
you get that feeling of being alive again after a good scare.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're willingly going into a situation where you're going to give yourself nightmares for maybe a week.
Yeah.
My husband's trying to get me to watch a horror movie because they're remaking Halloween again. I don't know how many times they got to remake this.
Yeah.
And that's his favorite. And he wants me to go see it. And I don't want to go see horror movies because especially those old ones from the 80s with the more of the serial killer, the slow stalker, those kind of things really freaked me out as a kid. I don't want to watch any more remakes of them because I know I'm going to get scared, especially nowadays when horror is a lot more intense than it used to be. I know I'm going to get scared. I know I'm going to have nightmares and I'm not going to be able to sleep. And of course, not being able to sleep, you're up at night when all the shadows are out. That just makes it even worse. So I don't want to go see it. He's pushing me towards seeing it now. I'm already scared.
Yeah, watching horror movies in the nighttime is twice as bad as when you watch them in the daytime on TV or something.
Oh, yeah.
That meme that floats around that says, if you're ever feeling lonely, just turn the lights out and watch a horror movie.
I hadn't heard that. Yeah.
I must be very different then because I'm the one that watches them alone in the dark. So,
nope.
The only time that ever scared the crap out of me was my husband was putting up the room at our place in Maine, and I was home with the kids, and I watched. It was with Jodie Foster, The Panic Room. It's not really a horror; it's more of a thriller. I think I watched The Ring before it, and I was like, eh. And then I watched that one, and I was walking upstairs to go to bed, and the lights went out. Yeah. I'm like, I stopped on the stairs and I'm like, ah! And by the time I got to the room and got the candles and went to the kids' rooms, at least the lights came back on. But I was just like, oh my God. Again, so thinking somebody was in the house, but yeah.
Yeah, so, it's worse than the lights going out, flickering lights.
Well, not I don't know.
That one's the super scary when it's the flickering because that's usually paranormal activity.
Mm-hmm.
Then the ghost
or
really
a thunderstorm.
Yeah, thunderstorm. Yeah.
Yeah, usually when the lights flicker around here, it's a thunderstorm or a snowstorm.
Yeah, and some idiot ran into the pole.
Yeah, I had that happen.
Yeah.
Or the wind took the power lines down again.
Yeah.
Tree branch fell on them or something. I had that happen a couple of times and no power.
Yeah, well, the night this happened, there was no storms in the area. That's why I was freaked out. Because normally, if there's a storm, I'm sort of like you. Okay, well, what's the odds that we're going to lose power?
Well, it doesn't happen that often in the modern world, right? So when it does, it's a thing going on.
Yeah.
You suddenly feel cut off from everything.
We have a generator.
You're prepared.
Yes, we are. We've had one year that we were out for like 3 weeks because of hurricane and snowstorm.
Mm.
So we had to drive miles to get gas, and so we were, the whole neighborhood, you could hear the generators.
Oh yeah, I remember the generator. The house I used to live in, we had a generator.
Yep.
That was fun.
Nice. It's kind of nice. Then you can have running water when you have a well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you didn't lose the food in the freezer, and yet you had the heat. So I mean, yeah, it was nice. But
Yep.
the noise.
Yes. Outside the window.
Yeah, my bedroom was right above the generator. So, it was going all night. That was all night.
Yep. Katie, you don't have that many, do you?
No, we rarely ever lose power out here. Knock on wood now that I say that, of course it'll happen.
It's like, come to the snow belt.
Yes. And the hurricane aftermath.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, no, I don't want that. I like a little snow, just not a lot. Just
Do you get much snow out there?
No, not yet.
No.
Not in Connecticut, and Anita said there wasn't snow up in Nova Scotia yet either. So
no. Well, we usually don't get snow until end of November, early December.
Jim, where are you? Up in like the Vancouver area, or more?
I'm in Calgary, so pretty much due north of Katie, and you can't predict.
Right.
We've had snow in September. We've had balmy November days, and it's just because of the mountains. You just never know what it's going to be.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
scariest month then for me though is the weather. That's what I'll say. Canadian weather, scariest monster.
Yes.
I've seen videos that have come from Canada about all of the high snow and people driving them and the constant crashing and sliding. And no, that would be scary.
Yeah. Well, and because and getting back to people, it's because they panic. And so instead of driving more carefully, just barrel to get home and get out of the snow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the same here when it rains because it's such a rare occurrence that when people are out in the rain, they act like idiots. They completely lose all sense.
Well, I think that's common everywhere, though, Katie. when it's not bright and sunny, people sort of lose their minds when they're driving.
True, but we actually, anybody from Vegas that I know at least, the minute it starts raining, everybody on my friends list is posting, "Oh my God, rain!" and showing pictures of it. That's how crazy people get. When is this water from the sky?
That's funny.
They lose their ever-loving minds. And 2008, we had snowpocalypse here. It was the first time it ever snowed and stuck. And it started snowing at noon, and it didn't stop snowing until I want to say it was like 8 o'clock at night. And for us, that's a blizzard. That's complete shut down the whole city. We don't know what to do with it, and the snow actually stuck on the ground. So everybody was out like idiots. It took 2 hours for me to get home on a trip that should have taken me 5 minutes to get home from work.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even get up my driveway. I didn't know how to drive in the snow. I couldn't get up my driveway to park my car. It was horrible. But yeah, it was a while ago. Love to see it happen again.
Yeah, I don't drive my Prius in the snow. That's what the 350 is for.
When I was a kid, we used to have 2 Halloween costumes prepared. The one that you actually wanted to be, and then something warm in case, it was 40 below, which had happened a few times.
Mm-hmm. That was going to be my next question to you guys is how do you handle Halloween in the snow?
Yeah, very carefully.
Yeah, really. My sister always helped me with my costumes, and we generally incorporated the winter jacket into the costume.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's
for one year, I was Robin Hood, and we had a green winter jacket. So the jacket was the top half of the costume, and little hat, and That's basically how you rolled in Nova Scotia during October, because it was always generally cold.
Yeah. And there's
And
nothing
never failed on Halloween. It was windy and usually some kind of rainy, gloomy weather.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always windy.
We had the dice roll whether it was going to be cold. So yes, we had the jackets under the outfits, or or it was going to be hot. So you're like in the outfit going, I need to get out of it. Sweat's pouring down you. So there was never really, too many Halloweens where it was perfect out.
I'll
just be a handful.
Any Halloween traditions you guys have?
Well, other than the trick-or-treating, I don't know. And that's the other thing. Nobody's trick-or-treating these days anymore.
Really?
All about the trunk-or-treat these days.
No, not in my neighborhood. We still have the pizza party, and then the kids go from the pizza party around the neighborhood. So our house, depending upon where the pizza party is depends on how many kids come here. But yeah, for years it was like at least 150 kids in the neighborhood that came.
That's
yeah.
Out around here. When I first moved to this house, probably 6 or so years ago, there was it's all cul-de-sacs in my neighborhood, and one of the cul-de-sacs every year would always host a big party, like a big block party, and they'd set out tables and they would have the candy line up and there'd be music, and this neighborhood had so many trick-or-treaters. Now I'm lucky if we get a few of the little ones around 6 o'clock, and then it'll trickle in, so maybe 100 kids tops through the entire night, and that's stretching it. Whereas all month long, the social calendars are filled with trunk or treat here and trunk or treat there. The police trunk or treat. All the churches have trunk or treats. All the schools have Halloween fall festivals. And so that's where everybody's going.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the same around here, too. Yeah, because, we don't get many trick-or-treaters, maybe half a dozen if I'm lucky.
And I always thought that was fun to see the kids in their costume.
Yeah,
the whole point of it.
Yeah.
And especially in a neighborhood with kids where you can get them all together and go as a group, they love doing that. Especially, we talked earlier about the older ones, if there's an age limit, well, the older ones would take the little ones out and they'd all go as a group.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to go with the group with our neighbors and stuff, and it was, the kids used to run from place. Well, my daughter used to run from place to place. My son sort of like, he was never really into Halloween, never really into candy that much either, which, I don't know. But my daughter is just a candy freak, so she'd run.
Now there's a tradition for you. That one we do kind of do, and it's the big dump the candy in the middle of the floor, and everybody starts sorting out what candy is their special candy.
What they like. They barter with each other and say, "Can I have that? I'll give you this."
Yep. I usually get a picture of the kids with all their loot piles, and then they start the barter system, and it's so cute to see. And they all trade out for specific candies, so it really ends up working out.
That's good.
And then there's the mom tax.
Well, naturally.
Yeah, I don't have little ones anymore, so.
Now, do you guys decorate at all?
I used to, but not anymore.
I'll have to post up a picture of our front yard. I don't decorate for Christmas outside. The kids always ask me to, and I never have Christmas decorations. But I have Halloween decorations, and we have our full-on cemetery out in the front with the big cobwebs and the glowing skeletons, and we do up a good Halloween front yard. We don't do it for Christmas, though.
I released a book last year about Deal with the Devil, so I had all this, and with kind of a Mexican tinge to it as well. So there's like Sugar Skull stuff and various Halloweeny stuff I got for the launch and for promotional materials. So now we have that kicking around. So it's fantastic. We can decorate. We're great for Halloween now.
Awesome. I like the Halloween decorations. I think they're fun, especially the sugar skulls and stuff. Those are really cool looking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anita, how about you?
Oh, I still decorate, not as much as I used to because I've moved into a smaller place and there's not as much room. But I got the little corner back there decorated.
Yep.
Nice.
With skulls and bones and this cool tapestry I got off Cafe Press. Anyway, and I got a few. I still have a few of the shrieky knocker things, like you put on the wall and turn them on, and they shriek when you move past them. I love those things. I don't use them as much as I used to though, because I got upstairs neighbors, so I don't want to scare them to death.
I think next I'll have to get a fog machine for the graveyard. Every year you get one more thing to add to the collection.
Oh my!
It's so bad because I don't decorate for Christmas nearly as much as I do Halloween.
I used to do that. Used to buy decorations every year a little bit. I used to do it in like when I had the house, and it was like we used to do the porch, and I did themes every year. One year was pirate ship, and we did the Egyptian mummy museum and the wizards laboratory. That was fun. Anyway, but like I don't have as much room these days, so I can't do it, but I still put up a few decorations.
I missed growing up. I went to a very, very small Catholic school, and every year their Halloween festival, each of the grades got to do a different thing. And I always remember it was the older grades that got to do the haunted house, and they turned like the whole library into a haunted house and got to act in it and scare people during the festival. And I couldn't wait till it was my turn. And that was like my memory growing up, was waiting to be able to do it. And then finally I got to be a part of the whole haunted house thing. And it was magical. I would love to be able to pull off something like that again.
Yeah, our neighbor down the street does a haunted house every Halloween. I don't know if she'll do it this year because, again, our kids have all grown up. so it happened.
Is the kid? They weren't kids; they were adults at the school I was teaching at in China to Halloween. So we did a Halloween party with like the peeled grapes for eyeballs and the cold noodles for brains. Not having grown up with it, they couldn't even put their hands into something that blindfolded.
That would be kind of strange.
Well, it is good. Here, close your eyes and stick your hand in here. When you think about it, yeah, it is odd, but that's what we grew up with,
That's right. That was part of the fun.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think it's probably why Halloween was the favorite holiday, because growing up it was an interactive holiday. And even with school, you get off school for Christmas break, for other holidays. Halloween, you were still very much in school and you were always doing something towards it and looking forward to it. So it just became that every year that was the best time of the year.
Yeah, Halloween and homecoming.
But best behavior too, like Christmas, where you had to behave yourself and use table manners and that. It was about dressing up, and it was a kid's holiday.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, as far as behaving, we make the kids behave all year by telling them that, and make sure no one's listening, that all of the security cameras you see everywhere you go, well, see, that's Santa's surveillance system. Elves are watching. So anytime we go anywhere with the kids and they're acting up, I'm like, I can point to anywhere and there's always a surveillance camera. And I'm like, there you go. Elves are watching. Santa knows.
I love that.
Santa is Big Brother.
Yes, exactly. And they totally buy it right now. My oldest, obviously, she knows better, but she plays into it really hard with the little ones now, too. She's like, look, I see it. I see it right there. They're watching you. And the little ones immediately, oh, shoot, we're being watched. Instant table manners. Well, that one's the next one coming up too. So we've got Halloween. What is it? Halloween, Thanksgiving, and then Christmas. It's boom, boom, boom. The end of the year is done. Where did this year go?
I have no idea. But
I can't believe we're already at this point.
I know.
But since we're at the holiday rundown, do you guys have any kind of sales or specials that you'll be running up to the end of the year that you want to let our viewers know about?
Yeah, well, my books, the Saga of the Other Islands books are on sale right now for the blog hop and the other things for 99 cents. So if anybody wants those, it's a deal that will end on Halloween. So and I got a couple of horror Insta freebie things going too, with a couple of my horror books up for free. So I got it posted all over my Twitter. So
we'll make sure to put your link then in the comment section below so that people can find you and find that deal.
Yeah, because I got like. Good. Oh, sorry. Go.
No, you go. You go. Finish.
I was gonna say, like, the October Frights blog hop I'm doing. That's one of the Insta freebie things is for that, and the other one was Patty Jansen is doing one that I'm part of. So those are the two deals right now.
Okay. All right, Jim, go for it.
No, I'm doing a big thing in February for Chinese New Year because of the Hong Kong connection with the book. So nothing until the new year, but they are up there, and they're 99 cents always. So
great price.
It's I'm trying to be true to the pulp form and keep my margins as thin as possible.
Nice.
That works. Well, and a lot of people appreciate that price point. That's a great way to, especially if they don't know you, to test the waters. And then once they like that, they can look at what else you've got.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very cool. Jane, how about you?
Well, I have the Games Thriller series I'm re-releasing on October 31st. So I'm doing Halloween. So this is one of my first series that I revamped, had re-edited and everything, and it's coming out on the 31st. And then in November, my next paranormal romance fairy tale, Snow, which Katie's beta reading, will come out in November. Thanks to her. Actually, thanks to her. Otherwise, it would have been closer to December.
Yeah, actually, that worked out really perfectly. I've been, my Agents of Asset series, which I don't know if you can see back here, book 1 and book 2 were done, and book 3 I had intended to have done for Halloween, but it didn't work out. So my original editing date, I swapped with Jane so that she could get Snow out and I could take her date and have a few extra weeks to get the book where it needs to be. So perfect. And yes, I will finish this weekend and get you the notes. So I haven't forgotten.
Thank you. And what about you? Obviously, that leads right into your book.
That's right. The third in the Agents of Asset series, the epic conclusion of the first trilogy. I like the way that sounds. I'm working on it. It will be out soon-ish. I don't have my official date yet, but it'll be worth the wait, I promise. And right now, book 1, if you haven't read the Agents of Asset series, if you go to my website, katiesolitis.com, there is a freebie sample that you can download. No signups required, no email addresses, nothing. Download it, test the waters out, see if you like it, and then pick up the rest of the series.
Oh, and you'll love it. You'll love it.
I hope so.
I'm just saying that to the audience because I did.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us and talking about our favorite holiday, Halloween.
Thank you, Katie. Always good to be on.
Definitely. Yeah. We'll have you guys back again. We'll check in with you later on and see how you're doing and if you have any more works to share with us.
You bet.
Yeah. And for all of our fans out there, remember to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can be aware of any time that we come on live. We do shows every Saturday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and every third Friday of the month, Jane and I do Drinks with Authors. We'll see you guys again next week. Have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye, all.
Bye.